Hey, what's good guys? This is Nightwing2303 from WearTesters.com. Today we got a detailed look and review of these guys right here. This is the CP3.10, so we're not going to waste any more of your time. We're just going to get right into it. So first things first, we're going to talk about the price. I normally don't go over that unless I feel that the price for the tech that you're getting is, I guess, worth it or substantial. And these guys are kind of like borderline with that. The retail is $125, and the reason why I believe that this is a solid kind of like bang for your buck is because the upper on these guys. I know that your eye goes directly to the TPU cage that surrounds most of the shoe. However, the rest of the upper is performance woven, and this stuff is amazing. It is identical to what they use on the Air Jordan 29. Now, all of that stuff for 125 bucks to me, I think is a great price. Hello? Hello?
Hi, my name is Michael.
You, Michael. Now, something that I was kind of worried about was the actual wrap that is around the shoe. It's TPU, and it could have gone either way. It could have been a hard TPU like a plastic shell, or it could have been rubbery. This stuff right here is rubbery. It feels awesome. It feels very similar to the Curum upper that they used on the Ultrafly. And speaking of the Ultrafly, these guys have the same exact cushion setup as those, as well as the CP3.9. Most of you guys already know, if you follow my reviews, I'm not a fan of this cushion setup. I do love Zoom Air, don't get me wrong, but for whatever reason, this stuff just doesn't work for me. It's articulated, which is great because articulation means that it's going to be more flexible, which is awesome. However, it's very thin, and because each chamber is so small, what I mean by chamber is kind of like the size of each individual Zoom bag, basically. They're about the size of a dime, and that's just not enough Zoom for me. And then on top of that, they bottom load it so that you get the greatest amount of court feel. So if you're into court feel, this is going to be a great option for you. Me personally, I like a little bit more cushion. My knees kind of need it right now. So this setup is probably not going to work for me. And then there is no cushion in the heel, which is unfortunate, even though they do have this pressure mapped looking kind of like graphic on the outsole, which leads you to believe that there is something there, but I don't think anything's there. So what I'm assuming is that that is kind of like the story that they're telling, is this is kind of Chris Paul's footprint on his own shoe. The traction looks interesting. I think that it'll work really well, although now that I've said that, it probably won't, but it looks like it's going to work really well. Something that I think is really cool, might be hard to see, but there's two actual outriggers here. The main one here is at the lateral end. This is typical for most shoes nowadays. It also slightly is embellished, so it goes a little bit outside of the foot, kind of cradling you, which is awesome. But they've added a second, very tiny one right here at the toe, which I think is really cool because that is actually for Chris Paul and the way that he moves. If you've noticed the way that he has his footwork when he plants, when he's doing crossovers, he's not only heavy on his toes, but he's heavy on the outside. He's real shifty, so he's kind of drawing you over in one direction, then he's going to push right back. And that's what this guy's here for. It's so that he doesn't become unstable whatsoever in that section of the shoe, which is a pretty interesting idea. I've never, thought about it or anything like that. We've seen outriggers in the heels and in the forefoot, but never one like way up here at the front. Very dope. Now the lacing system is similar to the CP3.9, where it is a bungee system. So these nylon strands are attached to the actual laces. However, the only thing that's attached to the footbed is the actual flywire cables. So these guys are not as like numbingly tight as they were last year. So that pretty much takes care of everything. You got a solid outsole on these guys with an interesting traction pattern. There are translucent rubber options. You guys know how I feel about that. Sometimes it's a hit or miss, so I'd prefer just to go solid rubber just in case. You got that Phylon midsole with the 4-foot bottom loaded articulated zoom, a freaking awesome performance woven upper, and it's a low top. I mean, this is my setup right here along the upper. I just really wish that cushion was better. And then you got that TPU kind of like Curum like roll cage basically that wraps around the entire shoe, which I think is an interesting feature. I think visually it looks better in person than it does in pictures. It's not so out there, although like from far away, like this is probably pretty like way in your face because of the giant Jordan logo, but in hand it's not that bad, although I would definitely not, I'd rather not have that there, but I didn't design them, so I'm gonna just leave it as is, although I don't have a choice because I don't know how to customize shoes. So let me know what you guys think about these guys. Are you interested in the shoe? Stay tuned for an upcoming performance review, and until next time guys, have a good one.
Ha Rest. What's going on, guys? It's Darren from WearTesters.com, and Nike gives their auto lacing sneaker the Hyper Adapt 1.0 an official release date, but with a caveat. Starting on November 28th, the self-lacing sneaker from Nike that is definitely marked.
Surprisingly, again, just because there's only 3 straps for however many laces a shoe normally has, anywhere between 4 to 9 or whatever. Now, most of the lockdown's actually coming from these 2 straps here. This one right here is not really a lockdown strap. What it actually does is when you tighten it up right here, it prevents the foot from rolling over this section of the shoe. It's just kind of containing